Okay, we are recording for the second part of Chapter 1 of Buttercup's Baby that's at the end of the 30th anniversary edition of The Princess Bride. And this part, it's titled Inigo. In the book, it is also titled that. I'm not just giving it that. And it was better until I read the aside. Not that it was great. So, okay. It's about Inigo, obviously, it's titled that, and that he is in despair, which is an actual location on a map. Well, no, it's not on a map. Map makers think it's so terrible a place to go that they don't put it, that they all basically agree, yeah, we're not going to put it on any maps. Now I'm just having to check something because timeline stuff is also kind of weird. Okay, so yeah. I do not understand why this fragment exists. And even he comments on that, and it's like, it at least exists there because it is set in the past. It's completely in the past. This is before the events of the Princess Bride at all. And it can, so he's in despair, which he's gone to after arriving, after his first trip to Italy. And then we get a description of some of what happens on his first trip to Italy. And it's actually kind of nice, but it's like, how is this relevant to anything? And there's even an element of, okay, you're giving us some backstory to Inigo. It's kind of nice. It is making him a more complex character. But at the same time, one aspect of it is that doesn't really jive with what is written in The Princess Bride about his character. And then there's also we kind of need more here. And unless you're making him the main character, this really shouldn't be here, I feel. I think that's the best way to put it. So it is set during the 10 years at which he was training before he returned to Yesti to get his approval to say, yes, you are ready to go and find Six-Fingered Man. That's all fine. So he's done base training. He's now coming to Italy to find a master of the mind there. His name is Piccoli. And this dude has trained himself such that he could be in the middle of a battle and basically be completely unaware the battle is even going on. And what he now does every day is at dawn, he enters into this kind of trance where the world does not exist to him until noon. Then he will do things. And Inigo has come to find him and train with him because he knows he needs a disciplined mind and all that. Which also is itself a little bit of a problem because this implies that he has trained his mind such that why does he feel he needs Vizzini to tell him what to do? And it's like, this is not just a focus. It does seem like, no, it is also you need to be able to think things through. And it's like, that's exactly what he went to Vizzini because he's not good at. So you have an issue there. There's also the issue that Piccoli is in this trance. But Inigo approaching snaps him out of it. Why? It's not because of Inigo, it's because of the six-fingered sword. That also Inigo apparently is holding out to be seen. I'm sorry. If you're approaching a sword master, even if you want to train with him, you have your sword out, I'm kind of thinking the response should be, oh, there's somebody I need to kill. Not oh, there's somebody who wants to be my student. But apparently it's just Inigo knows things about Piccoli already. Which I guess is fair because Piccoli apparently just knows everything about him. Why? I got no idea. Why either of them know anything about each other? No idea. And I really hate this. I genuinely have a hatred towards this. Not a big hatred, but it is a hatred. Maybe I should just say dislike, but I'm getting riled, so I'm going to say hatred. Piccoli has a fascination with the six-fingered sword. He wants to see it, and so the glittering there snaps him out of it. He's in Italy. Rugen killing Domingo happened in Spain, in a backwater town that almost no one would have necessarily seen the six-fingered sword. I mean, I guess people who watch the duel, would see it, but it's still somehow the rumor of Inigo having the sword, the greatness of the sword being seconded only to Excalibur, all of that somehow crossed through Spain to get to Italy, where Piccoli is aware of this and is now so captured by the sword he must see it before he dies. It is so important to him that he sees it before he dies. How? How is this rumor gotten all the way over there? And this was years prior, because this is like a thing for me. Inigo's been training for 8 years, right? So it's 8 of the 10 years. This rumor already got there. Which means that there's a rumor about Inigo around, because it's also, he has the sword. That's part of the rumor. So, why is Rugen suffering Inigo to go around with his sword? Why is he allowing that? Because it seems like later he doesn't recognize Inigo and anything like that. Doesn't even remember. It's like, I get that this is still years prior, but it's still, if this rumor's going around reaching Italy, guess what? It had to reach to Florin as well. I cannot imagine it didn't. Because this is why I hate this. It's like, why is this very important piece of information getting to this random character, but apparently no one else is aware? Because Rugen should at least be aware of Inigo and possibly even starting to follow him. Not like person, but keeping tabs on him. Because like, this guy wants to kill me. I really need to be aware and up to date on all my threats. It gets worse. Because well, continuing on the thing, this isn't the it gets worse. I'll get to that. Inigo is apparently aware that Piccoli wants to see the sword, so that's why he would approach with it out, because he knows that would snap him out. Okay, that's kind of fair. That would snap him out, but why would Inigo know this? This is a rumor. Like, it should be the kind of rumor where it's like, no, the six-fingered sword never existed. Because also, an aspect of it is, Yesti, whenever he has a particularly tough assignment, he goes to Domingo, because Domingo's better. It was significant that Rugen learned about Domingo and went there. Like, that was significant. But Rugen is a master who struggles because of his 6 fingers, so he needs a special sword. Him investigating sword masters makes sense. There's a reason for him to need to find somebody who can make him a new sword that would fit his situation. So him seeking out that makes perfect sense. But how is, like, Rugen would go to Yesti, or at least learn about Yesti, realize this about him, and then figure out about Domingo. That's reasonable. Random Italian dude finding out that, no, the great master of Spain, the great master swordmaker of Spain, is actually living in this city behind Toledo, in this village behind Toledo, and his name is Domingo Montoya, and made this one. This is absurd. Absolutely absurd. So, initially, Piccoli is like, no, I won't train you. Why? Because you're too young. You're too impatient. I can't teach you what you need to do with your mind because you're too impatient. You're not patient enough. You're too young. And then it's like, okay, fine. What do you want? Like, what is your goal here? It's like, revenge on your father. No, that's not it. And then he tries to bring him back to the moment his father died. And then he asks him, what is it that you want? The pain to end. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So that is what Inigo wants, and Piccoli even explains that's important. Because if you go to fight Rugen wanting revenge, Rugen's going to kill you. Because he's going to be able to manipulate you and all that. And by making fun of your father, he will do that. He actually doesn't really in the book, as I recall. Yeah, no, I think he may in the movie, but it's not really there. But that if you focus on wanting your pain to end, then you'll be able to kill him. There's a problem with that, though, and let's see if I can find it even. Okay, so it is actually... I was really close to it, just randomly grabbing. Okay, yeah, no, I actually was like a page off, wow. Inigo looked down at him. The Count's frozen face was petrified and ashen, and the blood still poured down the parallel cuts. His eyes bulged wide, full of horror and pain. It was glorious, if you like that kind of thing. Inigo loved it. That is not what you write for somebody who just wants his own pain to end. That's what you write for somebody who wants revenge, and who just got it. This is what I was saying is worse. Because you are trying to soften the character. It's like, no. Inigo is a hard character when it comes to revenge against Rugen. He's a hard character there. Hardened. Right? You don't soften that. Okay? You compete with it. And it goes on to actually provide competition. This part of this chapter. That I'm good with. I don't really like how it's necessarily all done, but still, it's like that you can do, but you don't make it a, oh no, he just wanted the pain. If that were the case, then looking down at Rugen, and does it even say its frozen face was petrified and ashen, and how he actually died of fear, so there would be some pain there. Inigo would actually need to be disgusted by that himself, because he would be recognizing his own pain on Rugen. I was like, that is a reasonable thing to have happen there. So this idea that, oh no, he just wants to end his pain. No, he doesn't. He wants to kill the man. He wants revenge. That is his whole thing. Because also, pain can be ended in other ways. And what happens for the rest of the chapter is... Okay, so, pin in that. Piccoli is like, fine, okay, well here's the problem. If I train your mind, we need to weaken your body for that. So instead of you only sleeping 4 hours a day and doing all this practicing, I'm going to get you to resting 20 hours a day and only working for 4. But doing all that resting, you need to be thinking about your mind. Okay, so he physically does weaken some, whatever. There's a reason to say this is actually incredibly wrong, because you're talking about mental discipline, and technically physical discipline is a way of achieving mental discipline as well. They do go hand in hand. That's why there are actually, I don't think many Christian monks that do it, but you do see like some Buddhist monks and such. I think potentially also Hindu monks, that they train themselves physically, because that is part of achieving a mental discipline that is crucial to their faith. And I think there's even one spot where part of their training involves like the doing a split where they bring their one leg up in the air and they just fall down into the same spot because they're like practicing this motion. And they've been doing this for so many centuries that even though it is a stone, like we would see like a brick walkway, but it's not, it's stones. It's actually embedded deep into the ground. It's been so much pressure over so many centuries from people doing this that it's depressed in. So like physical discipline, mental discipline do go hand in hand. So Inigo being told now you have to weaken the physical discipline, that actually doesn't make sense. There's also how the hell did Wesley has also achieved great mental discipline, great physical discipline hand in hand as well. So there's issues with that. But anyway, one day Piccoli leaves. So Inigo is there. Somebody appears in the doorway. And when turning to look, he states, I cannot marry you. She looked at him. Have we met, sire? In my dreams, and this does get explained. So while he was during that decade of his training, well, technically 8 years of it so far, he invented for himself an imaginary companion who was apparently a young woman who they would eat scraps of food together, they would have to sleep in haylofts together, things like that, just to have a companion, have a friend. Okay, that makes some sense. And basically his vision for her, for that imaginary companion, is this actual woman. This actual young woman. And he is in love with her just the moment he sees her, because he's loved this imaginary companion for all these years. And it's like, okay, this is kind of neat, because then it also, you get the whole, as I said, competition with his revenge, because this love is something that could end his pain as well, if he allows it. Obviously, he's not going to allow it for one reason or another. We don't know because of where it ends, but as it progresses, because he does tell her the story, and she mocks him a little bit for the, really, it was your imagination? All we had to eat was scraps? Really, it was your imagination, and we couldn't be in a hotel room? We were in haylofts? But she does also fall in love with him, and it's sort of a more so the King Thrushbeard kind of story, in that she's actually a countess. Now, here's the thing. He accuses her of lying, and this I also have an issue with, because it breaks an aspect of his character. He lied to Fezzik. Fezzik called him out on that. Now, Fezzik was being kind of childish, and it's like, and eventually was like, oh no, you tricked me. And tricks are okay. That whole thing, back in the Zoo of Death. And it's like, Inigo, when learning that she's actually a countess and not just a servant at a nearby castle where the count and his daughter live, this being the daughter, obviously, he's like, you lied to me. You betrayed me with that lie. I'm out. And she's like, no, 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 it's, yes, I lied to you. It's like, well, actually, no, she never said that. At most, it was just she was dressed like a servant, which it's like, you inferred, Inigo. And it's also, I don't recall, and I did quickly skim back, I don't recall being mentioned how she was dressed at all. So, you're just telling us that he inferred it, and she's, I mean, I'll grant her saying, yes, I lied. I can accept that as that's not important. We need to talk about these other things. It's like, this party here that I've smuggled you into is for us. Because she does love him, and he does love her. It's really this nice, beautiful moment that we know ultimately he has to leave, because he does go back to Yesti, gets the approval, and moves on. And then eventually we get the story of Princess Bride. So it would be neat, this whole, why is it that he leaves? What causes her to leave? I mean, he's in despair, the location despair, and how is it put? I mean, maybe she died or something like that, so that's why he had to leave her. Yeah, he could not shake his mood because of tears always behind his eyes. He could not shake his mood because of what had just happened to him in Italy on his first visit there. A journey he had began with such hopes. It's like, well, it began with hopes, may have gotten more, and then somehow lost it. Don't know. But what I mean, it's changing his whole, he doesn't want revenge, he wants an end to his pain. She's offering a different way to end that pain, and apparently he doesn't take, I mean, I see this as inconsistent with the main story. Getting backstory on Inigo, I'm fine with, but the thing is, he needs to just be focused on that. Oh, another issue I put in my notes. He's supposed to achieve this mental discipline, right? This great mental discipline, that he could be in the midst of a battle and be unaware of everything going on around him because he's just so focused, right? And also that this is so that basically his body will just react without him having to think. It is, yeah. And yet, after he tries and fails to find Rugen, because he realizes that, oh, well, people don't really know six-fingered men, apparently, and it has been 10 years. After all that, he starts drinking. It's like, doesn't seem fair that if he has such mental discipline, he wouldn't crawl into a bottle. I mean, it's like, okay, him drinking some, but then him being like, just becoming a drunk. Okay, can you explain this fall to me? What it was that so broke his mental discipline here? I mean, if it were after his fight with Wesley and him being defeated, okay, now I can understand that, but that's not the case here. He is a success just looking for his target, essentially. Like, why is this happening? Versus if he doesn't quite have this specific special mental discipline. It's also the issue, don't remember if I said it or not already, he's there to learn this stuff that's like, I think I did say, he relies on Vizzini for. We need this explained, there's nothing here. But it gets worse. So we get an aside talking about why this exists, why he's keeping it in from Morgenstern's original. But we also have this. A Morgenstern expert feels that the confusion on my part about it being included is my fault. That if I'd done sufficient scholarly preparation, I would understand Morgenstern's symbolism and would therefore know that plenty happens here. I mean, it does, but for Inigo, who's not the main character. So, namely, according to this cousin anyway, it is here that Inigo first learns that Humperdinck has set a plan in motion to kidnap Wesley and Buttercup's first child right after it's born, and then Inigo has to race back to One Tree, that's where she was born, and where Wesley and Buttercup are, and stop that from happening. Nope. There is nothing to explain. And even he's mocking it some that's like, I got no idea. I don't get any of that. If you do, great. And it's like, I'm hating this because the whole gimmick of Morgenstern, the abridged version, it's like, okay, I kind of get that as just having some fun. But this is like, hey, I'm just going to tell you what's going on here instead of actually writing it. Like, and he's not the main character. There's also issues that if this is, Humperdinck has somehow arranged this, can we get some explanation there? But it's also right after she was born. So Fezzik was there, and as I went through before, it's like, so Fezzik was there. Fezzik should be with Inigo. Where's Inigo? I mean, it's like this is just. I mean, true. We don't know where Inigo is. We don't know where Fezzik is, and it's also, if she was just born, why the hell is Fezzik the protector? And I don't say that as anything against Fezzik, but it's like, why is Wesley not stabbing people to keep his daughter safe? I mean, I'm sorry, but the reality should also be if Fezzik was somehow a threat to her, Wesley be freaking carving up the giant. I mean, let's be real. All Wesley did to get to Buttercup, you really think that anything would get between, especially right after being born, that anything would be able to get Waverly away from Wesley? I am not that happy. I'm really not, because it's I feel like you're confusing Inigo's story, which his story was fine, and it could be he dances with the girl. She tells him, you need to kiss me on the mouth, and he does. He complies, and it's like, what could have worked to allow her to be competition but fails his revenge would be if he starts to, and then like he's trying and then deflects. Like he parries like a word blade and kisses her on the cheek, and just to say, that he does love her, but he must do this. And could even say, bring it back to Piccoli, and again, there's a problem here because it's revenge he wants, not the pain to be gone. Could even be until my pain is gone, I cannot do this. Something like that, so then that is why he leaves, and he can be in pain, he can be in torment, because he knows he just hurt her. He knows he has just caused her great pain by having to leave her for something he doesn't even know if he will ever be able to achieve. Or he even may die trying and leave her alone. But that he needs to. You do that. You do something like that would be fine. But this is like, this is... they just love each other. I mean... I'm not happy with it. The next section is Buttercup and Wesley. So hopefully that means we will be getting some background on what is going on now. Or rather, at least, before the baby was taken, but... Wait, there's also a little bit of confusion that if Humperdinck's plan was to have Waverly kidnapped shortly after she was born, shortly after the birth, first child right after it's born, well, I mean, there's all kinds of problems there, because how does Humperdinck know where they are, such that would even be feasible? But there's also, I didn't mention this, Waverly can speak, and, I mean, not necessarily well, but calls Fezzik Shade. I assume that's because he's always nearby, allowing her to be, putting her in shade, in his shadow. To be fair, that would be, keeping her cool or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, okay, I'm assuming that, by the way. It's not actually explained. I just think that makes the most sense. And it's actually kind of sweet. I like that. So I'm going to go with that. It might be wrong. I don't care. I'm going with it for now until I'm told I'm wrong. So it's like, it's clearly not right after she was born because she's talking. And yeah, I mean, it just... Maybe the next part explains things. Hope so. Because I really don't want to end this by saying, yeah, only read The Princess Bride, then you can go back and read 30th and 25th anniversary introductions. Don't even bother with Buttercup's Baby. I really hope that's not what I'm going to be saying, but I am kind of feeling like that might be what I end up saying.